This is recording 7/22/7/22. You can find me at Christina Statia, STATIA 918.com. Okay, so this is a continuation, what more people have figured out, and then I'm combining it with already decoded ciphers of proving that Gene Roberts committed all these crimes with her Charles Manson occult. So people also mention, I already decoded this, I already know that she did it, the Clintons' Whitewater scandal. So all of that connects together. Then also in this is the Saturday Evening Post. And then also you've got Eve from Saturday. And then also she's making a reference to the Steve Miller Band. Okay, so she used the Steve Miller Band as a theme in doing the World Trade Center attack. So she's also doing something else here that I'm not going to explicitly call out with the initials SMB. But again, it goes to my childhood in grade school, her trying to ruin something that was precious to me, that's precious to all African Americans everywhere. If you're my age, you grew up with the same. She tried to white people that, and then she used the Steve Miller Band. So the Steve Miller Band has a song called The Stake. So that would go to the Saturday Evening Post. And then also not only Fly Like an Eagle and Jet Airliner, but she also used, oh my God, what is that song? Take the Money and Run. I decoded that out of that. There's all kinds of stuff in that song where she thinks she gets away with committing terrorism, with robbing the cartel, and she gets away with all of it. And Tex Watson, who is in her Manson occult, was in jail in Texas. So anyway, also they wanted to point out, Gene blanked my brain. The building that Nixon was in, it was a Howard Jones. So that also goes to this. That goes, and then note my teacher's name was Johnson. So it looks like a big gigantic ship. So that again goes to the ship. And then also they said RD is in this. And then that also goes to the future road terrorism that Gene has planned. When she took Malcolm X's life, and I decoded all of this, I know she took Malcolm X's life, and people went to prison for it that it should have never went to prison for it. Gene Roberts took his life, okay? So when I was decoding all Malcolm X, and I've decoded a ton of it, okay, he was killed in the Autobahn. It was the Autobahn Theater. Okay, so the Autobahn is a road where you can drive any speed limit in Germany. So again, there's more evidence again that the Charles Manson occult, Gene Jernigan Roberts, took Malcolm X's life. Okay, so that links to future terrorism. It's just one of many places where roads are involved, okay? So she tried to correlate it directly to Malcolm X and then tried to lie and try to cover her ass about taking Malcolm X's life. And try to white people it and flip it all around and everything else. So anyway, when I decode the terrorism crimes that Gene committed Road is in everything, okay? So it's another piece of evidence against Gene Jernigan Roberts. So again, that goes to road terrorism. And then also people wanted to point out in Audubon is AU, that's gold, and that's also Auckland. So she's making a reference there. Then also the rest of Audubon, DOBAHN. So what Gene is using there is Dobon is left. Okay. So I told you I figured out what her predecessors' names were before she formed the Charles Manson occult. And they were called Dobermen. Okay. It's all themed around dogs, okay? And I told you before, I don't know how far back in time that goes, but I think it goes all the way back to the Holy Bible, because when I decode it, I see it goes all the way back to the Holy Bible with the first dogs that were in the Bible. But I decoded all kinds of stuff about dogs. And notice the Afghanistan war, an Afghan is a dog. So I figured out that it was dogs were the predecessors' names. So anyway, she has it mixed with Dover Air Force Base, DOVER, Dover Air Force Base. Okay, so again, more evidence against Gene Jernigan Roberts. It's her Manson occult underneath everything. They've existed underneath the Masons, underneath everything since before this nation. They've existed since the beginning of the Holy Bible. It's just before 1969 or whenever she formed the Manson occult, they were dog names. And I think those dog names where her Manson occult is hiding all over the world, I think those dog names are everywhere, which is why the word dogma is important. You have to see all ciphers. You have to see all decode. So anyway, so Doberman, when I was little in grade school, I'm afraid of Dobermans. I've always been afraid of Dobermans. And there was a Doberman when I walked home from school that would always bark at me at the fence. Well, that's supposed to be me looking back in time and having like this I'm supposed to be creeped out, which I do get creeped out looking back in time. Like I've got Stephen King following me around. No, it's Gene Jernigan Robertson or Manson occult, like a Cujo thing. Okay, you have to see all decode on everything. So anyway, decoding Doberman, see how it says D-O-B, date of birth men? And then you have the E-R instead of the R-E, that's flipped backwards. That also goes to D.B. Cooper. I decoded the heck out of D.B. Cooper. I can't watch anything on D.B. Cooper without decoding the heck out of D.B. Cooper. So what she's trying to do, and also you should know, in third grade, or no, it was fourth grade, Mrs. Johnson, my elementary school teacher, my PE coach's name was Mr. Cooper. And all I remember from Mr. Cooper is us having to get out this gigantic parachute and stretching it out. And then the whole class would like put it behind our backs and we'd have to hide underneath it and go back out. And then we'd also put bean bags on it and bounce the bean bags around on the parachute. It's for real facts. Then that goes to the TV show in the future, Mr. Cooper. And it keeps going and going and going and going and going. So anyway, so Jean thinks that she is D.B. Cooper. She is not D.B. Cooper. she's like trying to like make her own like way. And so she's like trying to even copy D.B. Cooper. So D.B. Cooper, him and his family are in one of these hideouts. And I guarantee you they're in someplace like Area 51, wherever that would be, with all of these systems set up, these artificial intelligence systems. And that's what his investment was in. But anyway, so I decoded the whole heck out of D.B. Cooper. So Jean Roberts is like trying to be D.B. Cooper is what she's doing there. Then also in that, she's using Doobie Brothers. So she's making a Charles Manson reference. I've decoded Doobie Brothers a ton of times in these ciphers of Jean Roberts. So also somewhere in here, someone pointed out to me, Wounded Knee is in here. Again, she's making a Wounded Knee reference because she's hoping in the future that she can use, lie to, and control and manipulate the American Indian movement and get away with it, and them not ever know that she's been ice raping or abusing or abducting or assaulting or taking her people. Which Native Americans, just like African Americans, just like Latin Americans, just like what she does to me. Jean Jernigan Roberts thinks that they're her little science experiment. She thinks about family as her little science experiment. And then she thinks she's going to sucker them into silence, and they're just going to go ahead and let her use the American Indian movement to cover her butt in committing terrorism and running child trafficking rings and silencing them into not making reports against her, and let her just handle it. She's white. She's fabulous. She'll just manage and control everyone, which that's not going to happen. She needs to be arrested. So also in this, with the ST in front like Stroll, so also in this, you can see Riker in this, in these ciphers. You got to go look at the last 3 recordings. This is the 3rd recording. So Riker's is in that. So Riker's Island, which is a prison. And then you add the ST in front of it, that Stryker. And then see all code lightning bolts. And Stryker is a character from Airplane the movie. So, and then also, my first husband, his favorite Christian group has always been Stryper. So that would be heavy metal. He'll keep Stryper, you know he still loves Stryper, and turn in Jean Roberts for stalking his family. But you can see she's messing with his brain. She still does that to Christian music. Today, I can't listen to Christian music without Jean Roberts' devil worshipping butt trying to tear it up. Also in this, okay, so Peter Fonda was in not Hell's Angels. Peter Fonda was in Easy Rider. So also that goes to this is Peter Parker. And then again, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Parker. So Peter Parker was in Spider-Man. And also at adding up to 66, Route 66, which spans the bottom of the United States of America. So she's connecting that, Jean Jernigan Roberts, Manson occult. She's making a reference to another cipher that I decoded, where she tore up the Trail of Tears. And you got to see my previous podcast on it. It makes me cry. Like, I can't believe what she's tried to get away with. And then also, here in Tulsa, they call Route 66 the Mother Road. So, anyway, in first grade, Mrs. Parker, my teacher, remember I told you she called my mom out of the blue one day? And she was trying to sell my mom's house from underneath my mom. And my mom was like really super pissed. And she's like telling my stepdad, Jeff, Christina's teacher called and she wants to buy her house. Who the hell does she think she is? I think she should stick to teaching first grade and not try to sell my home from underneath me. She was cussing out Mrs. Parker. So what she was calling her an MFer. So Mother Road, so mom pissed. And then again, when we went to Mrs. Parker's for Christmas caroling, me and my mom walked to Mrs. Parker's. So that is the end of this recording. Oh yeah, let me mention what happened when I went to sleep last night. So when I went to sleep, my brain all of a sudden started getting attacked by Jean Roberts and her thank you bitches. Okay, so then next thing that comes on, my brain gets this wave of like fire and flames burning, and like I'm just making stuff up here because I don't have a better descriptor because I can't remember all of it. Like bones cracking, like all kinds of serious threats. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then my conscience came to, and then someone said, that's supposed to be Jean Roberts getting threatened. It looks like you're getting threatened, but they're threatening Jean Roberts because she can hear and see in your brain. They're threatening Jean Roberts. So who was threatening Jean Roberts? The United States Air Force. Threatening the shit out of Jean Jernigan Roberts. So then, when I wake up this morning, and I'm just like laying there with my eyes closed, her people are actually on Jean Jernigan Roberts, or thank you bitches, acting like they're being worshipped. And they're like still telling their dumbass lies, still trying to run their trafficking and terrorism ring. Like they just didn't get frickin' threatened with hellfire and damnation from the United States Air Force. So anyway, that's the end of this recording. And what they did was really cool because they got my picture, because the picture is freaking cool, how the Secret Service did this with robotic technology. The picture of me where I have me, Anthony, and Michael. I have Anthony as Sereno soldier, and then Michael as sharpshooter, and then myself as Secret Service informant. And then, okay, did you see my face, how my face is done? It's freaking epic. It's epic. So anyway, underneath it says, I have it saying Scary Good Family. So they got in my picture, Scary Good Family, and threatened the shit also out of Jean Jernigan Roberts. So that was pretty epic.